Welcome to this, the final part, 3 of 3, of me sculpting and drawing form in the final stage of a drawing. Enjoy. So I worked the drawing up, and I frankly wanted to get it a little bit further along. I have to apologize, just didn't have enough time to do that. However, I will show you at this stage exactly what I am thinking, how I'm going about this process, because it's essentially the same thing, it's just at a more refined scale. We still want to be looking at the entire shape all at once, but picking out all these subtle shapes in between. I think I said this before, where if you want to understand all these small little shapes within shapes, you're not going to be able to do that unless you know how to get the larger shapes. So starting off in a very basic fashion and forcing yourself to see the lines, understand them is something incredibly important to do. And you know, it takes a little bit of patience and practice, but that's how you get there. So at this point, we're still thinking about the form. We're not just blindly copying. I'm trying to really feel the form here, how the thigh kind of dips in just a little bit right here. I kind of missed that. I lost it because sometimes when we are refining and adding pencil, charcoal, or even paint, we tend to lose the drawing, and that's okay. That's why we train ourselves to be patient and to always look for it so that we can, in fact, get it back perfect intonation. You might be asking where the old man is. I frankly got tired of him breaking my expensive charcoal, so I managed to find a buyer on the black market and sold him for incredibly cheap, mind you. Look, it's all about making sacrifices so that I can make you guys videos, and I also want to set a shining example. As an artist, you need to sacrifice literally everything if you are going to be even remotely good. So still, I'm not just working on refining it and the shadow shapes and all this stuff, but I am also thinking about the outside edge. Why, you might ask? Good question, because these are the planes in between the lines that are within, but the lines are the planes on the without. Simply put, the planes here are facing us. Planes on the side are like this. They're all planes, idiots. So we have to be thinking of it all at once. We have to be unifying it all at once. And I am essentially just putting little accents here and there wherever I see it. I'm constantly going around and trying to refine and correct what I've done. I'm trying to see individual shapes here. And for example, actually, this is looking okay. This is a little bit crazy in here. Let me show you what I do if things get a little bit dark, right? Because this area right here, there's a little bit of flow of light, a little bit more flow of light. And so we're just gonna go in and just tickle a little bit. We're just gonna bring the light up some, just a little bit. And so we wanna get the value, but sometimes we screw the technique up. And so it's that back and forth. This I left purposefully right here to show you just that very thing. There's a little bit of a light, there's a little bit of form that's kind of popping out a little bit, though it is gonna be darker than this. Again, the values are just repressed a little bit, or compressed rather. And we're just doing these subtle touches. I might put just a little bit coming across here, but I don't even know if the camera is even picking that up. But I am putting just slight indications going across, and then I might do a little curve going up at this angle right here. So essentially, I try to do a cross-hatching technique. But don't rush yourself with this, especially if you're first starting. Really slow yourself down and think about where the mark would look good going, and you're eventually going to learn it. And again, with everything, this all takes a lot of time to learn. So it's not worked up really as much as I want it to be. Frankly, this is one of those things where I can continuously work on it, probably for several days at a time, and probably continue to refine and correct certain things. But this is, however, in the ballpark of what I want. I do, this anatomy, this is messed up. That's too bumpy right there. And I also lost the drawing when I when I added some the shadows there. So I'm just going to lightly go over this because I see essentially on the outside part of the calf, there's a breaking point here, here, and then it shoots in. And this one's very subtle. And then this one kind of has it. It's like, well, you could say here and here, but they're going to be higher than, 1, 2, and then 1, 2 like that. It's going to be a little bit higher. This right here is a little bit too pointy. So there's a generic way of drawing things, and this is not the generic way. We're actually looking at the specifics of the anatomy, right? So if you had, for example, 2 people standing side by side, but we're only looking at their calves, even though there's consistency within anatomy, you would be able to tell, oh, well, this is this person's calf, that's this other person's calf, because they're shaped totally different. And that's one of the things that we have to learn to observe. So right here, it gets a little bit dangerous when I've been making it so dark, and then I have to go back in and really try to lighten and take it down, especially on this point right here. But anyway, this is essentially how it's going. So this right here, I'm lightly going over this, but I'm also thinking about like not just the shadow shape, but this light shape right here. And so it kind of goes here, and then it kind of bumps up and then goes like that. And sometimes I do a slight outline on it. It kind of gives it a little bit of solidity, and that really does help. You don't want to overdo it. It's something very subtle, right? And the shape is still a little bit off, but that is okay. This one I didn't quite get, right? This is very broken up in here. We have this shape, how it's coming up here, and then it kind of, this is correct, but then this, it gets a little bit wacky. So I think if I soften this, let's unify this area just a little bit, just slight touches here and there. So I'm going with the form, and then I also sometimes I'll go across it in this manner, like I explained so eloquently before. That's what I did. And then this piece right here is a little bit too dark on the side, so I'm going to actually lighten that just a little bit. Just a little bit, and that kind of did it, but now this connecting piece right here also itself needs to lighten. This is going to be very difficult to do. Well, for most people, for me, it's incredibly easy. All right, so there we go. And that is kind of working. When I squint down, there is a turn to it. But this is, again, something that we work on. Let's soften this just a little bit soften. I'm flowing across form right now, flowing across, all right? And then let's do the same thing here. There's a little bit, it kind of comes up like that. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of a tooth on it. Hopefully you guys are seeing this. It's hard for me to know, obviously, what y'all see in the camera before I go in and edit it. But so I'm going across this way, and I'm thinking around the curve like that, and then I'm moving up. And again, like in here, it might be a little bit overdone, but I'm trying to hatch these shapes out. And like I said, I kind of slightly outline. This booby is just, I'm actually very much ashamed that I have not given enough attention to the boobies. That's rule number 1 in drawing. And I have failed it. That's okay. In the given time frame, if I had enough time, I would have done it. If I planned my time better, I would have had enough time. Edit that out in editing. Do not show weakness to the peasant. My friends, this is how we work at this stage right here. So we're always correcting form, we're always correcting the anatomy, the proportions, even up at this stage. There were things that I saw in the face in the second time lapse that I had to fix. We're always looking at the whole thing, and in doing so, you're going to have a more holistic drawing. You're going to understand it better. You're going to learn quicker, and you're going to surpass your peers and become superior to them. And then you, in fact, lord it over them and use all your learning for evil. Uskadetti, out.